Hello, this is John Sims with the Avaya Serviceability Engineering Team. This video will cover the use of the Avaya B5800 branch gateway initial install utility. Before we get started, first a bit of background about the initial install utility. Once you connect to a B5800 using the manager client and it detects default settings in the manager client and default parameters on the B5800 itself, meaning factory default, the installation utility will automatically invoke. It can also be started at any time once you pull a configuration into the manager client from File Advanced, and then you'll see the installation utility as an option under the Advanced menu. The point of the installation utility is to support the installer in the field that may have limited B5800 knowledge. So instead of having to piece through and go through the configuration in various places, if you run the installation utility, it will allow you to set the LAN 1 or LAN 2 interface, and when you invoke centralized management in the utility, which I'll show, then you can target your system manager for SCEP exchange or certificate exchange with system manager, WebLM for licensing exchange, and SNMP to set system manager as an SNMP destination host. When the installation utility runs, it makes all the required changes in the trust policy settings on the security side of the configuration, and we'll step through all these changes that occur. One note, all phone users are deleted when this utility is run, so keep that in mind. If you have all phone users, so if you have a configuration that already has users built in, keep that in mind that due to advanced user rights or other reasons, the phone users are deleted, but the rest of the configuration remains unchanged. So I've pulled up my B5800 manager, and there's some options I want to check under preferences. So you see me setting the preferences. I'm going to make sure auto connect on startup is configured. Now these are default settings, but I use my manager client quite a bit, so I want to make sure of this. I also turned off TCP discovery, and I'm relying on UDP discovery, and I'm using the full broadcast address. So I'll select OK to that. That will allow us, when we now connect to a defaulted system, which I'm now going to do, I'm using the broadcast address to find the system, you see in the lower left, and I'm going to find the system that's by MAC address, and it's on that 42.1, giving it away that is still on the default settings. And when I click OK, it'll automatically connect to the system knowing the administrator username and password. And then as you see here, the B5800 gateway installation utility automatically invokes. So let's zoom in and make use of this installation utility. You see the system name is first set for MAC address. So I'm going to make a change right now to the system name, all uppercase Sims B5800. And I can set my LAN 1 or LAN 2 interface. I'm going to concentrate on LAN 1. And you'll see me doing this real time, even making some quick mistakes that I fix. I'll set my initial LAN interface IP address. I'm going to leave the IP mask the same as the 24-bit IP mask, and then I'm going to set the gateway address as well. You see I have the option to set DHCP. I'll disable it, and then it makes me change the new administrator and security passwords, or provide new passwords, because it doesn't want you to leave it on the system defaults. Then I check the box for under centralized management. That then brings up the option to peg in the IP address of your system manager. So that's going to influence a lot of things, as we spoke about earlier, that we'll step through in the config. SNMP community, I'll just give it public. SNMP device ID, if you're connecting to SAL and need an alarm ID, that would be the alarm ID. It would look something like that, a number-based alarm ID. I'm not going to enter it now. Trap community, I'll make public. Device certificate name is what we've already pre-prepped on the system manager, and I want to match that common name of the certificate, and it also matches my system name as good practice. And then I'll add in the SCEP password. That SCEP password again is what's been pre-prepped on system manager to use as a certificate password. I'll select save, and then give it just a brief moment here. I'm letting it run real time. You'll see it takes a moment or two, and then the B5800 completes successfully. It'll come back with that message, and we're okay, and the system is now rebooting. So here I am in System Monitor under filters trace options, I want to head to the Services tab and just make sure that HTTP is a filter option, because all of the transactions with System Manager that are about to occur are using web services, so therefore using HTTP. So we'll spy into what the trace looks like after the initial install utility is run. So we've collected quite a bit of tracing information, so I'll pause it as you see me collect the pause key in the upper toolbar, and then I'll scroll up and we'll take a peek now at what the trace looks like after the installation utility is run. You see right away that the name has already been changed to Sims B5800 on the branch edition, identifying it properly, and then you see that the SCEP is firing off to do a get cert procedure, initiating the PKS request and sending the PKS request. And then if you scroll down just a little bit further, you see that we've received and parsed the certificate and added it to the certificate store. So everything looks in order, that we've definitely had some activity as far as SCEP is concerned. So now let's pull up a configuration after the installation utility is run, and we'll take a peek at all the changes that have been invoked or have occurred. So I'm pulling a config into Manager with the new password that we set in the IIU. And if I head to System, you'll see right away, as this loads up real time, that we'll see that the system name has changed, which is what we called for and asked for. Then if I head to System Events, you'll see that public has been set as a community read-only community string. And as you see here, we're pointing at the System Manager address now for alarm events. And you'll see it's on a specialized port 10162. And again, public community string, and it's set all of the event types. So one thing we like to advise is to uncheck phone change and QoS monitoring, and that can lead to alarm traffic chatter. So then if we continue on forward, let's go take a look now at the licensing. So under the PLDS license part of the configuration tree, you see we're in license normal mode version 6, and it's pulled one instance of the branch gateway system software, which is required for the B5800 to run. So we've obviously made a good connection. It's using that system manager address on its specialized port for licensing 52233. So now let's look at the security side of the configuration to see what's changed. I'll head to Advanced Security Settings, and I won't go ahead and save this configuration change we made. So I'll select Security Settings and then pull down a security configuration into the Manager client, again making use of the new password that we reset using IIU, and I'll pull up the security config. So under System, I'll head to the Certificates tab. Now right away we see that Receive Certificate Checks on Management Interfaces is now set to medium. If I step back up, I see the default certificate identity name is now Sims B5800, which is again match what we pre-prepped in System Manager, and we have a default certificate now in the Trusted Certificate Store. If I select View to that, I'll pull this down to the middle of the screen. If we go to Details, you see it is an Avaya Management Certificate, which was issued by System Manager. You'll see that we have our SCEP pointing at the System Manager, and it populated in our SCEP password as well. So the last point to cover is how to manually kick off the installation utility. So you first pull a configuration, and then under File Advanced you have a Launch Initial Installation Utility option. If you select that option in the menu, the installation utility will present itself, and then you can go through and make all your changes on an active system. Keep in mind, it's a good quick option to reset the LAN configuration or point to a different system manager or rerun SCEP, but the issue to remember is that you will delete users if you have active users on the system and already have configured users on the system. They will get deleted. Otherwise, the rest of the configuration remains untouched, besides the pieces you saw today that the installation utility actually manages and can update. And this completes our demonstration. Thank you for your time today. We welcome comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter @AvayaMentor. For more details or related information, please visit support.avaya.com. Thank you for choosing Avaya.